Hello and welcome to Exotic Gardening UK. Now the weather certainly turned today. The last week has been absolutely glorious, really warm every day and some decent warm nights as well. But last night we had our first little bit of rain. We had a nice thunderstorm that lasted nearly an hour and it's dampened down all the ground everywhere. Still a long way to go to really fill up the water butts and fill up the ground. All the plants still need a longer amount of rainfall than what we got, but nevertheless it has helped because it's rejuvenated a lot of the lushness around the garden as I look around this morning. And it's very overcast today. It's only 8-9 degrees, so it's pretty cool as well, but this is ideal conditions for moving some of the plants at this time of year. And one of them is this plant that you can hardly see. This is Amicia zygomeris, and this was probably the most talked about plant at my open day last year because of its such unusual leaves and the way it grows. Now this is a returning sort of herbaceous shrub really. It comes from Mexico, and at this time of year, so in May, you can hardly see it, just starting, but by August it's towering well above my head, lots and lots of stems and then these yellow pea-like flowers, but it's the leaves that are the talking point and part of interest. So at the moment it's just starting to grow, tiny pea-like leaves just emerging, and I want to move it because in this area it gets huge. It covers about a quarter of this bed, it comes over this path and it blocks out a lot of light that way. So I'm going to put this somewhere else in the garden. So hopefully, because I've never moved this before, it shouldn't have a big root ball. I'm hoping it hasn't anyway, and I can probably divide this into several plants or keep it as one big clump. So I'm going to dig around it now. Let's get a spade in. And then we're going to move it somewhere else in the garden. And so I've worked my way around the plant now, severing all the big roots. And I think we're about this time where we can actually start, and try to lift this. So I'll just use a spade. Yeah, that's it. That's quite a big old plant. Okay, so that's loose now. Just need to lift that up. I've got a tarpaulin sheet that I'll just bring over. And what I'll do is I'll try to lift this up in one go, put it on the tarpaulin sheet. Might have to divide this in situ. It is a beast of a plant. Didn't expect it to be so big. Yeah, I can't lift that up. Right, what I've actually managed to do is get the tarpaulin sheet underneath by wedging it up with a spade and sort of working it under. And as I've done that and pulled it a bit, it's actually tipped it over. That might have damaged a few of the shoots, but that doesn't matter. There's plenty more shoots to follow. So now I've got this under, I should be able to just lift and tip it onto the path, and it'll be a lot easier just to drag down the garden. So let's have a go. I'll just hold this here. I should be able to just lift that up. Now it's the right way on top of the tarpaulin. I can just drag this down the garden. So I've managed to drag the plant down here, the Amicia. I've dug a hole here, and this is because I want it to cover this area but not cast too much shade on smaller plants behind. So the plants behind it will be these two Trachycarpus palms, and they're already established and getting pretty tall now, so they will be fine with a bit of shade for a year or two before they grow up and be above this plant. And it's a nice big area because I've dug a huge hole bigger than the root ball, so when I slide it in I can backfill around the sides with ease. And when you come around the corner of the garden here, you'll come face to face with this towering plant come midsummer. So it's time to get it in. I'm just going to basically, well hopefully, slide it in and tip it. So if we just pull it without falling in the hole myself. Oh. Should just go in like that. Now obviously the next trick is to get the tarpaulin out without pulling the plant back out. So if I just go behind it, should be able just to pull this back like that, almost in straight, and I'll just manhandle that into position and then backfill around it with all the topsoil. I'm not going to add any extra compost because if you remember a few weeks ago I put loads of compost and manure over here, so some of that will fall in the hole anyway. I'm not going to add any fertiliser. I want the plant to get its own roots in and search for the nutrients here, and hopefully at this time of year when it's in active growth or just starting to get into active growth, it should establish nice and quickly because I've got a massive root ball and obviously no foliage at the moment, and then it'll produce the nice foliage over the next few months. It might not get as tall this year, could be spending most of its energy in its roots rather than its shoots, but next year it should easily get to 2.5 metres tall. And there we have it, Amicia zygomeris transported down the garden, planted in its new position, ready for summer 2020. And although it's been raining last night for an hour or so, the ground is still bone dry under the surface. It's like dust. So I'm going to give this a big soaking of water now and then just let it get on with it. Hopefully it won't even know that it's been moved. Now this huge yucca is one of only two plants that actually I've kept from when I bought this garden, the other being the Fatsia by the garage. Now this yucca is multi-headed, it's about to flower as you can see. It's also got these leafal spines on it, and it's got so big, it's like a huge clump, that it's actually impeding the growth of this Trachycarpus princeps down here. And there's actually underneath a little cacti trying to grow as well. So what I'm going to do is remove this head. So safety first. As many of you will know, these spikes can be very nasty. So I'm going to put some goggles on and I'm going to get my trusty little pruning saw, get in right at the base and lop this head off. There we go. Oh, a bit of an effort there. But now that's opened up the space. I can see better now as well. So open up the space. The cacti will have lots more sunlight now. So will this palm tree. Just needs to do a bit of weeding. That's job done for this. But one thing I could do if I wanted to is actually root this cutting. Well, it's a very large cutting, but I could take off the lower leaves of this and stick this in some water, or even just stick it in the ground and this would root quite readily. But I don't need this plant, so this will go on the compost heap. Now I've not shown you the greenhouse for a while, and as you can see the seedlings are doing well, and I can't actually get in the greenhouse, so I've had to water basically from the doorway and just hope for the best. But one thing I have noticed is my poor zinnias have all been eaten by slugs. Every single one bar 3 I think, so there was some in pots over there, and there was some just out of sight over there, and they've all been eaten by slugs. So I won't have many flowers this year if I just relied on these. So I have got some zinnia seeds still, and it's still not too late to sow them. So I'm going to re-sow what seeds I have, and fingers crossed the slugs don't get them. The Solenstormen is doing okay, along with the Iracine, I think, in the propagator over there. Got a few tomatoes, got the Tiphonias growing well there as well, and all the cuttings that have overwintered down there. The onset banana is not doing brilliantly, as I've said several times. These got flooded in winter twice, so a few of them are doing okay, but several of them are just stalled as they're trying to rebuild their roots after probably rotting a bit over winter. But they're coming good, and I think give it a couple of weeks I'll be able to plant these out, and they'll do great outdoors once they get the roots down. So that's the greenhouse update. A bit of steam coming off there, but it is a bit warmer in here than outside today. So in a few more weeks I'll be planting this lot out, but not before I harden them off. Thank you for watching this edition of Exotic Gardening UK. Join me next week where we're doing more in the garden.